So, tonight we are going to look at how to rewire our brain for success. Now, what is this rewiring and why do we need to rewire? Is it possible? Can we rewire? The short answer is of course, you can rewire your brain, and the truth is, you are rewiring your brain even though you don't know that you're rewiring your brain. Every time you learn something new, you experience something new, you change your habits, when you change your routines, when you change your behavior, you're literally changing your brain. You are rewiring your brain, so restructuring the brain, which in turn helps you to change your perception, change the way you behave, change the way you act, and change the way you perceive things. And so that every day, every single day, we are slightly changing. We are no longer the person who we were yesterday. We are changing. So therefore, it's possible. So what are we going to learn tonight? We will be learning how to rewire our brain consciously. So why do we need to rewire it consciously? Because if you're unconscious, you don't know what you're doing, and that's one of the reasons why we sometimes cannot get rid of some habits, because it's unconsciously triggered. And so as a scientist says, that we are most of the times, which means around close to 90 to 95% of the times, we are unconscious. So what does that mean? 90 to 90% you are unconscious. That means that your behavior or whatever that you do 90% of the times are triggered unconsciously or automatically without you needing to take your conscious effort. So you don't have to take much effort. Just imagine you go to your office or go to your school, and you take your notebooks and you start listening to the teacher, whatever she says, and otherwise you listen to your boss, and you go back to your seat and you start working. And most of the times you are not really taking much effort, are you? No. The only time when you are taking effort is when you want to learn something new, when you are facing some dangers or some problems, when you want to calculate some mathematical formulas. That's when you are really becoming conscious. That's when you really literally trying to process and analyze things. So until back then, until that times, you don't process or analyze the data. You just unconsciously do that. You don't need much effort. So this kind of brain mechanisms is really great for us to function in our daily life, so that every time when you wake up, you know exactly what you need to do. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to plan the day ahead. You can just literally because these are the things that you have practiced over time, and that they become a part of you now. So you next time you just get up from the seat and you move and you go to outside, and you do the your daily chores and routines, so that you don't need to learn it. And not learning means you don't have to practice on the rigorous practice that you've been doing for a long time. So now you can start building things. You can start rely on things, and that means you don't have to learn, and it's much comfortable. So comfortable is something that our brain actually craves, and that's one of the reasons why we often stay behind in the non-territory, because going beyond the non-territory means it's uncomfortable, it's unknown, it's not known before. So it's difficult to touch your food on something uncertain, because when you're uncertain, you now are out of your comfort zone, and you don't have anything. You cannot rely on your unconscious system, and now you have to be relying on your conscious system, and that requires too much energy. If you were to rely on your conscious system the whole day, it requires it might make you really exhausted. At the end of the day, when you just go back to your home, you will be completely tired, and you might not be able to do anything, because your brain, when it is unconscious, it takes much energy to process the data, to analyze the data, to understand data, and therefore it helps you to learn things, or to bring that information into your unconscious part, so that every time when you see it, or when you experience that kind of experience in the future, or encounter such experience in the future, you know how to deal with it, and you don't have to take much effort. You can just literally pull that information from your archive, which is the unconscious system or the automatic system, and you started to deal with it. So that's the amazing thing about this unconscious system. So why do we need to rewire our brain for success? So are we wired for failure, or are we wired for success? Now that depends upon each person. That depends upon the kind of learning you have, the kind of culture that you have learned, the kind of belief and doubts, and the knowledge, insights, wisdom you possess, and the skills you have. So if you have the skills, knowledge, wisdom to create the success, I mean, when I say to create the success, what I literally mean is to create the kind of life that you want to create. Maybe some of you want to be on top of your career. Maybe some of you want to have a beautiful relationship. Some of you want to lead a very fine, a kind of your dream relationship. So whatever that you think that your success is, so if you want to lead that success, some of us are wired to lead that kind of life that we want to lead, and some of us are not. Some of us are not really wired to success. Because the kind of environment, the kind of culture, the kind of belief, the kind of learnings and skills that we have may not be enough for us to take enough for us to reach our destination, or to reach the point where we call ourselves a success, or successful. And therefore it is necessary to understand what are the necessary ingredients that helps me to achieve my dreams, and what are the ingredients that helps me to get me toward that goal, toward that dream. And once you know that ingredients, the next thing is to understand and to learn that. Now, for many of us, there are some common ingredients, some common recipe that actually helps us to reach our goals. And what I will be teaching you today, what I will be helping you to master, is these common ingredients that we all have. All the people who have success, who have led their lives into success, used to reach their destination. Of course, there are certain specific skills that you need to learn on your own, and you need to practice on your own in order to get there. Because of course, your success, or the kind of life you want, the kind of dream that you are building, is completely different from something that I am building or someone else is building. So it's necessary to have that expertise in it, and I hope and I believe that you can literally pull that out. So it's you need to have that ingredient. But before that, in order to have the skill, in order to gain the skill, what else do you need? What else do you need to consistently work on yourself to get there? Because most of us, we all have some goals, some destination, and the problem most of us face are the same. It's like laziness, depression, stressing out, unable to control our speeches, or unable to control our communication, unable to influence people, unable to create the kind of resources that we require to get there. So these are some of the common stuff that we all have, you and me have. And today in this lecture we will be learning and we'll be exploring these resources that we require to get exactly where we want to get. So where does the story take us? And I'd like to tell you a little story. The story happened years back. I think when I was studying in second standard. So I was studying in second standard. One day when I was just walking on the ground, one of the senior students came to me and he asked me to participate in a song competition. and it was the our annual fest, and I gave my name, and the day came, we were in front of the hall, just sitting there enjoying the cultural programs that were being played on the stage. And suddenly I just heard my name. When I heard my name, I was kind of little frustrated, because I didn't really want to go out there and sing the song, because I was a extremely introverted person. Also, I was quite, very sensitive, and I don't want people to just, name me, or to call me different names, because I knew that I wasn't really good at singing. So, but somehow, just because my friends really insisted me, so I went onto the stage and stood in front of the mic and began to sing. Now, this was a song that I was really familiar. One of my favorite song in that times, Vanilla Chandanakinam. So I began to sing Vanilla Chandanakinam. When I recited the second line, I suddenly heard something from behind the audience, and the moment the instant I heard that sound, I stopped singing, and I didn't know what happened, but thousands of thoughts came to me, and now I was thinking whether they didn't like me, or what would happen if I continued to sing. And I even could not remember the lines that I wanted to sing, so I stopped singing, and I was sweating. I was just standing there, staring at the audience, and I stood there for one more minute, and then I left the stage. And I left the stage that day and never returned to the stage for many years. For 10 more years, I said goodbye to those stages. That day I decided I would never ever get on a stage, because now the pain, to me stage was pain. To me page was humiliation. To me stage was, it's real suffering. So one of the things that your brain helps you to escape from danger is to help you to remember these danger signals, or these uncomfortable signals. And every time when you encounter similar situations in the future, your brain knows exactly what it needs to do. Your brain tells you, get away from it, move away from it. No matter what you do, don't go near. So this was the same story that I have told to myself, or perhaps you could say that my brain has told me for years. So, it kept saying me the same story. Stage, no, you can't do anything. Get away. But what my brain didn't know, that my heart had a desire to stand on the stage and to proclaim to the world the message that I wanted to share. So I had this strong desire. I wanted to help people. So to help people, I needed to get out of my comfort zone. I needed to get out of there and to go out into people and to ask them and to tell them whatever that I need to tell them in order to help them out to start their journey toward their destination. So soon I discovered that this is my journey. But then I found myself unable to face people, unable to go to people, because the story that I told myself, the story that I kept telling myself from my childhood, from the second standard, that stage was fear. Communication with the strangers is fear. Communication in front of a social event, or when you are at a social event, or in front of a circle or a group, don't go near it. You can't. And this story that I repeated myself so many times, that my brain knows exactly what I need to do when I see these kinds of people or events. So I just escape from there, or I just bend my head down and just escape from there. This has been my thing. This has been my way of dealing with the things, with the people, with the groups, with the events, with public speaking, with stages. So what happened was, soon I realized my fear, especially when it comes to speaking in front of public, is literally triggering me to this back of the brain, which is the limbic system, to be in this stressful mood. So that whenever that I'm stressful mood, what I do is I immediately go out there and just smoke. And I just I don't know what else to do to cope up with the situation. That exactly what my brain tells me to do. So I just go out there and I have a smoke or I have a cigarette, and then I just go back to my own room or home or wherever that I feel much comfortable. So I kept avoiding this, but one day I realized that I cannot do that anymore, because if I keep doing it, I cannot influence people. If I keep doing this, I cannot reach my goals. I want to be an influential leader. I want to influence people. I want to send my message across the people. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to change my fear into something my passion. So I started helping people in public speaking. So in order to do that, the first thing I need to do is to become a public speaker. So that realization that whatever that happened in my past has a huge impact on me, and I needed to rewire those things. That's what exactly taught me to start my journey. So our experience is what builds this the brain's architecture, or the architecture of our brain literally is our experiences. So since the time we were born into this world till you become adult, you've been installing things, you've been learning things, you've been getting information from your atmosphere, from your surroundings, from your environment. That's your habitat. And whatever that information that you get in from that habitat becomes the foundation for your future. So you walk to the future toward that, based on what you've learned, what you've experienced. Because literally that's your map, the navigational map for the future. So, till the time of 25, that's one of the reasons why we immediately go to school and learn all the stuff. Because that will help us to define our future map, to navigate the path toward the future. So, this is one of the reasons, why people who go to heavy military training and who faces wars, they come back home and they can never ever leave behind the past. Because now the behavior, their acts are driven by their past lives, whatever they saw, they felt, whatever they did in the past. And so they create a future, they navigate the future based on what they experienced. So, if you were a soldier who killed many people, or just happened to kill many people, or who were in that no man's land and who faced lots of danger. The thing is, when you come to a normal or a different environment, you would stick to the behavior, you would stick to the same coping mechanism that you used, that you had when you were out in the war zone. And so you would just use the same behavior. So maybe you are in a supermarket or out in the village or in the park. What you would do is you would constantly try to see the threat or the danger. And so that instead of having a nice time with your kids or wife or people, you would be having a very a very difficult time to deal with that the new environment, because your program is to seek danger. That's how we were programmed. And once that program is in place, you cannot just it's very difficult to rewire it. But the truth is, you can rewire it with the practice, with the deliberate practice. You can rewire it, and that's exactly what we'll be learning today. So our experiences, whatever the experience that we have had, they build the architecture of the brain, and they are that experience is the map toward the future. So just to understand it better. Now, I think you can see this. This is This is neurons in your brain connecting each other. This is the learning time. So what you're seeing on the screen is you're seeing neurons, real neurons. This is real neurons. They're talking to each other. They're making connections. And this is exactly what happens when you learn something, when you experience something, when you see something or smell something. This is what happens in your brain. So every experience, every language that you learn, every bit of information you learn is its neural connections. And what happens is once you learned it, once you learned this behavior, this experience, once they become a part of you, they become these neurons, or this web network of neurons become the part of your automatic system, or they become the part of your unconscious system, like some other people call. And once they become the unconscious system, they fire whenever they see the similar occasions. And this is why when you see a snake in the future, maybe just, you don't like snake because that's what you've been told. Snakes bites, and all snakes bites and they're poisonous, don't go near. So this information, this information is strengthened through fear, through images that we see, on phones and televisions, and through so every time when we see a snake, we kill it. So through those experiences, those informations are strengthened, and these informations which are sent through these neural connections or neurons, they are strengthened, and once they are strengthened, they just work on their own. So you see a snake, now you don't need to consciously do anything. Your brain knows exactly what to do, so you just escape from that place. So literally every experience, everything you see, everything you learn, everything that you've been exposed to becomes a part of you, a part of your character, a part of your personality. And they're literally your personality, your character, the kind of behavior you have is literally the neural map that you have in your brain. Now what is that? That's the map that you have for the future. So in order to go to a future, in order to create a future that you have never experienced before, you need to start doing things differently, and that will help you to set a new map, to set a new course. And that is exactly what we are learning. And what you're seeing now is a child's brain, from 6 months to 12 months to 18 months to 24 months to 36 months, and there goes. So this picture exactly shows the growth of a child's brain. So as he was born as an infant, he has this small brain, and the neural connections are slowly learning, getting all the information. And as he ages, his brain is one of the organs that requires much energy, because half of the energy that a child uses spent on his brain. So that actually tells us the power of our brain and the programming, and the kind of role that our brain has in our personality and character. Because whatever that we learn, whatever that we experience, is then registered in our brain, or is then fed into the system of our brain, and that's what we use to create the future. So you can now see exactly what I am speaking about. So what is the problem? The problem is, sometimes we have to go through life different circumstances, sometimes very bad circumstances, just like mine, for example. So on second standard, I got that fear about a stage, fear of people. And what I did was I started to avoid people. I started to having this direct contact with the people. I hated even. And I started to escape. But my dream was to help people out, and to teach people, to help people to acquire the right information, the right skills, the right knowledge to reach their dreams. That is exactly what I want to do with my life, with my personal life. But what am I left with is that my fear of standing in front of an audience, my fear of facing an audience, my fear of talking in front of an audience. So my dream requires the skills of public speaking, requires the skill of standing in front of an audience, requires the skill of communication, effective communication. But the problem is my program actually prevents me from using these skills. Because literally, when I see the stage, I run away. When I see a group of people, I run away. And this is why we need to rewire our brain. Because your experience, if they're bad, if they are unhealthy, if they are not really helpful, they drive you to behave completely differently. So, these childhood experiences, if they're bad, childhood experiences, they create our future of the map in our brain. And if they are unhealthy, they get us away from our dreams. If they're healthy, if they really are really helping us to walk toward our dreams, they are indeed take us toward that destination. So that's a problem with this program. So what do we do? Here you can see here 3 map. So you see here 3 map to the future. Just imagine you want to become the best actor in the world. So you have just imagine we have 3 kinds of people in the world. So the first one is with a map 1. What does that mean? That means is they start something and they never reach their destination. They start something, they end up at the middle, they start again, they end up in the middle, they start again, they end up in the middle, they stop again, they end up in the middle, they finally give up. They see no progress, so they give up. They say, I can't do this anymore. So they give up, they, just would go back to the place where they started. So we have lots of people with map 1. And we do also have people with map 2. They start at some point of their lives. They have the worst programming, but they keep trying. Somehow they have these ingredients of passion, going after their dreams. They are the survivors. They are the fighters. They fight. They learn. They fight. They learn. So as usual, these people they do make mistakes. They do have problems. They fall. They get up. They fall. They get up. They fall. Get up. What happens? What is one thing that is distinguishing them from the map 1 people is that the map 2 people have this they learn from their past. They learn from their past. So they learn, they move ahead. They learn, they move ahead. They learn and they move ahead. So this learning actually helps them to rewire their brain. So they're literally rewiring their brain without consciously knowing that they are rewiring their brain. And this is actually what happened to me. One of the common factor that helped me to stand out of that crowd is that I was a learner. So something happened in my past, I would look back into my past and I would see, okay, that's what or where I went wrong, and what I tried to learn what exactly do I need to learn there, and that's indeed helped me to go further, because now I can use that weapon, that tool as a weapon to fight whatever that comes in the future, so that I will be prepared. So I fought, I learned, I went ahead. I fought, I failed, I learned the necessary lesson, I went ahead. And that's once I was able to breach the zone, the fearful zone. I was very brave. I was strengthened, because all those lessons that I have learned, all the experiences that I have gone through made me stronger. And now I literally rewired my brain toward my future. So I would just go and make that happen. So these were some of the people, survivors, fighters of the world. They fight hard, they move ahead, they learn from their lives, and they move ahead. Now we also have people or communities with map 3. So these people, they were born into the right environment. Fortunately, they have been given the right stuff, the right information, the right skill, knowledge, wisdom, insights. So they move It doesn't mean that they never face failures. They face failures, but they decided no when they face failures. They learn from it. They just move ahead. It could be because that they have the right people in their childhoods. Maybe they have a loving parents. Maybe they have a beautiful friends who support them continuously, who help them to consistently walk toward that goal. And once I call these kinds of people growth mindset people not only who believe in themselves, but people who believe in their efforts, people who believe in their work, people who believe that their work, if they consistently do it, can literally change their lives. And people who have this point of view, who have this perception, they move ahead, they walk ahead. And so tonight we will be learning how to have this growth mindset, how to have these kinds of mindset. Otherwise, how to develop, from mapper 2 and toward mapper 3. Because literally, people with mapper 2 is they all were sometimes they started with the mapper 1, but one thing that is distinguishing them from others is that they have a clear goal ahead, so they keep trying. But the other one, map 1, they didn't have. They had one and they failed, so they had another, they failed, they had another. So they were just just scattering, just walking there and here and then here without having any clear goals. And so we will be learning how to change this map 1 into mapper 2 and then mapper 3, so that we can literally reach our goals. We can shorten our efforts. We can shorten the path, the journey, and also we can help others to have a kind of mapper 3 brain. So what do we do? How do we move ahead? So before that, I'd like to tell you why this information matters. Now, the information matters because information and physical things are two sides of the same coins. Both are the same sides, same coin, but both have the two sides. Information is one side, physics or the matter is the other side. So physical things and information are the two sides of the same coin. It's like this. You have I would say that there are three main things in the world. Number 1, we have information. Number 2, we have physical things. Now, we see physical things when we understand them because of the information. So, for example, right now, this is a phone, right? This is a phone because we know it because of the information we have. So, information helps us to understand the physical things, which means information almost is the same as the physical things. Without information, this is nothing. This doesn't exist. To me, it's just worthless. Without information, this pen, this is. Now, I can write the most compelling speech that I have ever, seen, or that you have ever seen with this pen. Now, without having the information, what this is about, without having me, the information about this pen, I cannot do any of this stuff. So, information and physical things, are the same things. The information helps us to understand the physical things, and the physical things have meaning because of the information it contains. And there are also one more thing that we have that our universe is made of. One is information and physical things, and the other one is energy. So everything works on energy. So information, physical things are the two sides of the same coin, and that's one of the reasons why we need to understand information in details. So this is a human genome project started in the early 90s. Once the Francis Crick and I forgot the other person. I should not have forgotten. So once Francis Crick and the other person, when they it's just going around from my tongue. So yeah, I slipped his name. So once Francis Crick, when he invented the DNA, the genomes and the genome sequence, the sequencing of genome. Once they learned what exactly DNA is and its sequence and how the structure of the genome, structure of DNA, the next thing is we need to sequence this genome, because if we can understand, because our DNA is the basic foundation of the our human beings. We are or we are born out of this information that this DNA contains, and without that information in the DNA, we don't exist. We're not anymore. So therefore, it's necessary to understand the sequence of the DNA. So in the early 90s, people started, because by that time we have discovered that there are diseases that are transferred to one generation to the other generation through DNA. So if we can sequence this DNA, if we can literally identify each of the genome and how they function and what exactly they contribute to us, if we can understand that, we can literally understand what makes me, what makes my nose, or what makes me sick, or what makes me healthy. And if we can understand that, we will be on to the path of a new era, a new world. And so they started in the early 90s. They started this, exploring the genome sequence, and they have had a group of scientists, and they started working on the genome. And by 2003, something like that, they have literally sequenced, understood the sequence of the DNA. And they once they have sequenced this DNA, the information that the DNA contains, genome contains, they have written down onto printed all this information on books. Now the book contains around 262,000 pages, which weigh almost around 450 kilograms. That's the kind of information we have. So for me, I possess around if you were to invent me, if you were to produce me a digital Sachin, you would probably need this much information. Pages, around 262,000 pages of information, and around books that weighs around close to 450 kilograms. And now the good thing is that out of these pages, out of 262,000 pages, around close to 500 pages are the same. They share this. What do I mean by they are the same? Which means they share, these 500 pages are only different from the rest of us. So the difference between you and me is the 500 pages out of 262,000 pages. Just 500 pages. Now that means point 0.0000000000000. I don't know how much zero do I need to place there, but 0.000.5. I mean, that is literally the difference between you and me, which means we are almost the same. I am, and you are made up of the same thing, the same stuff. So scientists want to know this, So how much a DNA resembles a real person? How much my DNA constitute to me or contribute to me? So because this will really help us to understand how much our nature play in a part. Now, what you see here is the so here the first one is a subject, which means that's the original person. Now, we have the scientists, they have collected some DNA from people, from a group of people, and they sequenced their genomes, and they taught their genomes or the sequence of the genome to a supercomputer, and now the computer made a digital version of their person, of that person, 3D person. And this is the results. What you are seeing right now is the result of that creation. This is first picture is original subject, and the other picture is a prediction made by the subject. And here, the second one is the subject and the prediction. You see this, the first picture, look at the similarities they share. And the second picture, look at the similarities, how close they look, how close. I mean, literally, the physical features. Look at their physical features, almost the same, right? The computer is able to predict the human being, and that's really amazing. Now look at the third person. Almost the same, right? There are only a few distinctions, which actually is the results of us growing in a particular environment, because the kind of food we eat, the kind of environment we grow up, the kind of society we live in, and the kind of region, the weather, everything affects us. And that in turn again have an effect on our health, on our physical being. And that's the differences you literally see. So rest of them, now this tells also the very important things. What you are deep in core, what you are is made up of this DNA. The DNA plays a big role. That information that your DNA or gene contains plays a big role in your creation. So you are this DNA, right? But not everything. But close to around 95% of you is this DNA. And the rest of the 5% is the difference. You see? So what I'm going to show you next is, this is a rat attached to a computer. So, he's probed into his brain, and a small device, a small computer device is attached to his brain. And what we have here is, we have two groups of rats. One group of rats are skilled at finding food. And when they find food, they pull down the lever and they get the food, they eat it, they're happy, and they do it repeatedly. This is one. They're skilled at that job, right? And we have another group of rats that are not skilled. But, what happened is, now we have attached this computer machine to the skilled rats onto their brain, and attached the other end with a computer and toward the rats, and now the other end is attached to the other rats who are in the other end, who are not skilled. And we let them go and search for food. What happens was, once these rats are inside the maze, they know exactly where to go, where to smell, where to sniff, and where to get food. So they walk and they sniff around and they get to the lever and they pull down the lever. And the amazing thing that's happened meanwhile these rats are doing this, because of course it's not amazing, because they are trained with this. So the other group in the other compartment, the other group of rats who are not really who are not skilled, they do the exact thing. They go, they sniff around the exact place where the rats, skilled rats sniff around, and they reach the lever and they pull down the lever and they get the food. Now this is amazing. This is super amazing. Now what this is we are transferring information from one brain to another brain through by probing, by attaching a computer to attaching a computer to each of them. So we are directly taking a skill from one of the rats and attaching the skill to the other rats, and the other rats knows exactly what to do. Now this rat has never been trained, has never been trained to learn that skill. So the amazing thing is that in the future, probably in the near future, we could go to a school and we can take one tip of psychology and put it here in our brain, and we can literally walk around and teach a psychology course to a group of students, right? Just imagine things that are happening like that. So that literally means that the possibilities of literally shows us the future, the possibilities of future. So anything could happen in the future. So we don't need to go rigorously learn all the stuff that are out there and to come again, because we can literally once if you're able to take everything, that information, into a chip, and if we can connect it directly to our brain, we don't need to learn anything. And this is an amazing thing. Now think about this. If we can just take the data and skills of a person and completely attach it to a computer, we can also store that data, right? So there are lots of potentialities that are lying out there. And so what the other thing that you're seeing is it's a little more amazing things. This is an experiment. So here on one side, you can see there a scientist. He's attached to a computer and he's watching something. Now this is Dr. Rao. He's watching a game, and the only thing that he wants to do is he needs to decide when to press a button. And this is the another doctor who is sitting in another city. Now the good news is, now the thing is, the amazing thing is, they are completely away from each other. They're not in the one city. They are in different country, miles apart. So all the thing, the thing only that is touching them, that is connecting them, is this non-invasive computer. So what happened to us, what you're seeing right now is Dr. Rao is watching the game, and the information about this game is transferred to the other doctor who is sitting in the other city, and he's not seeing, but he's seeing in his brain. Literally, he's processing that information from Dr. Rao's brain, and what happens is, he pressed the button. When Dr. Rao decides to press the button, he doesn't decide to press because he doesn't have any equipments to press the button. But when he decides to press the button, the thing is that that information gets transferred to the other doctor who is sitting in the other city, and he presses the button, and there he goes. He presses the button, there he goes. You see that? Yes. That's the amazing thing. That's what you're seeing. This is super amazing. Yeah, there he goes. Look at that. Boom. Yes, he fired it. Now, what happened in this experiment is, two doctors sitting in two different country, attached by a computer device. This is a non-invasive procedure, which means their brain is not probed. There is no surgical procedure. So, they are connected by a computer, and they transfer the information through this computer, literally, and they share their thoughts in the form of electrical impulses and transform to the other doctor, and he presses the button, and he makes the decision, and he sends that missiles to win the game, and he won the game. Now imagine just imagine the power of information. The power of information. Now the fact is that even after this, this is he shared this in the World Science Festival, and an amazing talk. And while I was watching, he said that he was even not aware of why he was pressing the button. He was not really aware, but he did press the button. That means information once it's stored here right in your brain. Once it's stored, it automatically processes. It automatically, triggers, certain behaviors. And once, if it is automatically triggers behavior, that means you're an autopilot. And this is why, this is the same stuff that's going on when you're in autopilot. You're unconscious. The information, certain information in your brain, just triggers or fires, and then boom, you behave in certain ways. Now, this is also an eye-opening for many other possibilities, potentialities that are lying out there in the fields of science and in the field of science and the technology. So imagine if you could control people, right? So this is also something that we need to be really worried about. Just imagine if you just attach a computer wire in someone else's brain, and if you could, just think about if you were to get the information, whatever that he's thinking through our computer, what would be the situation? Now, if we were to just implant a computer chip onto the country's president's brain, what would happen? Probably you could literally get all the data. Maybe you could even control that person, thereby to making him to behave in certain ways. So what I'm trying to say is, information is what triggers us to behave in certain ways. Information matters. Information almost is the same as physical things. Without information, there is no physical things. Without physical things, there is no information. So it's like it's the same thing. So what do we do? How do we? So information creates physical changes. So information changes a reality. That's all I want to say to you. Information creates physical changes. Information changes our reality. So to change our reality, you need to change the information. If you change the information, you change the reality. If you change the information, the kind of information and how you produce the information, you literally change how you behave, how you perceive things, and how you respond, how you talk to people. Literally, right? So just imagine if I didn't have the information of that fear in me, stage of fear in me, what would happen? I wouldn't stand in front, I wouldn't stand in front of people, and I wouldn't shiver, right? I would just talk to them as if I were talking any other kids, right? The thing is, I didn't have really, I wasn't really afraid of people, because whenever I talk to people who I think, is inferior than me, I would talk to them. I would control them. This happens. This happened. And so my fear is not about a group of people, but my fear is about people who are who are bigger or maybe more intellectual than me. So this was one of the, because they could easily control me. This was my fear. So what if I were to take that information and just throw it outside? What would happen? Literally, I wouldn't have that fear, right? And that means I could literally go out there and speak, right? So that information here, once entered my brain, that has been playing all the time, making me to behave in certain ways. Now, what would happen if you don't have the information about your ex-girlfriend, right? For example, just imagine, what happened was years back, I was having this nice coffee with one of my friends, and we were having this coffee time, and he was talking to me, and when he was talking, he suddenly began to talk about my ex-girlfriend. And the moment he began to talk about my ex-girlfriend, my physical state completely changed. I began to fidget my seat. I began to have this, a cold feeling on my chest. I stood from the seat and went out, and I bought a cigarette, and then this is when I realized, oh my God, what am I doing, right? What am I doing? Because I was sitting there, right there, having a nice time with my friend, and the moment he began to pour some information about my ex-girlfriend, and knowing that information completely changed my physiology, right? So information changes. So what if we were not to talk about her, I wouldn't change that. I would be having a nice time with him. So that information changes. So if you change your information, you can literally change how you see the things. Now sometimes it's not you changing the information. Sometimes you looking at from a different perspective to see what actually the information is. And this is all about the conscious information analysis. And conscious information analysis literally opens us, helps us to see the world in a different way, to see the world in its reality. It helps us to understand, instead of being triggered by fear, instead of being triggered by, a unhealthy belief, instead of being triggered by a fear, instead we see that, because everything in this world is created of this information, physical things, otherwise matter, and energy, right? So everything you see, whether it's a fearful, everything that you see is just consists of these things, right? So if you just if you can literally understand this information, there is a way to overcome whatever the problem that you're having. And that's that's what exactly conscious information analysis is about. It helps you to understand each of the information instead of being triggered by a misinterpretation of the same information that your brain receives, and then you actually respond, or you give a response that's based on a much more better depth, much more deeper understanding. So how do we do that, and why do we do that? How do we use this? Now this is something amazing. Now I call this CIA. CIA means the process of becoming conscious of the stimuli that triggers an unhealthy emotions, and by redirecting the information intentionally to stimulate a healthy emotion. Now this is so far one of the best way to change a particular behavior. So it's so right, just imagine right now your friend is shouting at you. So your immediate reaction would be to shout him back, or to call him some filthy names, or to offend him, or to get away from that place, or to never to talk to him again. Some people choose to retreat from that place. Some people choose not to talk such kinds of people again. And by doing so, they're not really understanding what's going on there. They're not really reading the information. What they're doing is they're literally taking their lives and trying to survive in a much more uncomfortable situation. So this doesn't help us in any way. This doesn't help us, because our purpose in this world is not to survive, it's not to just survive or to be, to be in comfortable position, but to grow. And that's the ultimate purpose of everything in the world. Every organization that we have built, every empire we have built, and everything that we have done so far does one thing, or just gives us one information, which is to grow, 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 which is one of the things that we have done, after this millions of years ago. We've since the time we climbed out of that tree and started walk, what we've been doing is we've been communicating, understanding, connecting with each other, trying to learn from each other and grow. And we've grown from being a wanderer in the desert or in the savannah to a wanderer in the universe. Now we wander in the space. We try to understand things. So that's the level of growth that we have bring onto ourselves, to our humanity as a species. So our purpose, the ultimate purpose of this life is to grow. It's not just to have these comfortable situations. So that to grow, we need to understand information, because information literally is what actually helps us to grow. So every invention that we have invented, everything that we have learned, everything that we have come across, everything that we have made is because of the information, because we learn information and we use that information to create something new, right? So if we can literally understand what this information is, if we can consciously read and understand information, we can literally create a steady progress toward a better civilization, a better world. And that is exactly what CIA, or conscious information analysis, is trying to do. So let's take the example I gave first. So we have these two people having this conversation. You and the other person is having a very rough conversation, and that led you to an argument, which led you to be in this conflict. So you are having this offensive, you are sharing some offensive languages, right? None of you are literally seeing the actual information. So the only thing that you're triggered by is the emotion or the feeling or unbalanced emotion that you have right now. So you are in anger, which is an unbalanced emotion. That person is in anger, which is also the unbalanced information. So if you just come out of that situation and to look at from a third perspective, what you see is that both of them are having this unbalanced emotion, and that unbalanced emotion is a cause of all the messiness, all the problem that they're having. So if we can only, if we are only in a balanced state, we can understand that information. Because if you're unbalanced, if you're in anger, if you're in rage, you can it's not easy to read, because now your frontal cortex is not in operation. It's not conscious anymore. What you're doing is your limbic system is in place now. It's actually driving you to behave in certain ways. So what is it that you need to do is to the immediate thing that you can do is to have a deep breath. And just get away from that, just for a moment, get away from that, from your shoes. Just get out from your shoes, okay? Now, look at from the two persons' point of view. Or, you could just, take a one step back and see that, okay, what's going on? He said something else, and there goes. But now, let me think from that person's point of view. Why did he just call me that name? Is it because that he is angry, or is there anything else? Now that is the trigger. Is there anything else? So now we are literally analyzing the other parts of the reasons, the other reasons. So we are going, okay, so is there anything else? Is he okay with his physical being? Which means, is he having a mental breakdown, or is he having a bad time, or was he hungry, or is there anything else that actually help putting him into the uncomfortable situation? So this is literally CIA, conscious information analysis. You are now coming out of that situation and looking at the problem and seeing it not from your two eyes, from your perspective, but just from a third person perspective. You're looking at the problem itself, and you're analyzing it, you're understanding it, you're seeing all the possibilities of all the other potential possibilities that are causing that person, two persons in a different state or unbalanced state. And this is conscious information analysis. Now just imagine if you were to have this conscious information analysis in your office, in your schools, in your teachers, when you're in a conflict between your spouses, what would happen? What would happen? The thing is, you would immediately start to see the actual information. It's sooner or later you will see, okay, this is why. So if we can literally fulfill that need, fulfill that information, or to respond to that original need of the information, what you're literally doing is you're literally just literally fulfilling the needs of that information, or you're literally understanding information, and based on that understanding you behave or you respond, and which is one of the things that we really want to do. So I hope that you understand what this conscious information analysis is. So years back, as I said, that so I told you about a story about my friend who was we were having a conversation at a cafe, and he was talking about my ex-girlfriend, and the thing is that the kind of information he gave me, it put me in a pain. So what happened there? What happened was I stood from the seat and I walked off toward a shop, and I asked the shopkeeper to give me a cigarette. As I was about to lit the cigarette, I realized what I was doing, and that's where the story ended. But then it's actually the beginning of a new story. So I began to ponder, oh my God, what happened? Why did I come here? Why did I? Why am I smoking? Or what triggered me to smoke right now? The reason why I was smoking is, of course, that I felt pain, I felt stressed out, and that's one of the reasons. And I asked myself why I felt stressed out, because he talked about my ex-girlfriend. So she was my ex-girlfriend, which means I didn't have any kinds of relationship with her. Now that's a lie. Although we weren't talking anymore, I loved her. So of course I loved her. But still, why? What kind of information he gave me that put me in such an uncomfortable situation? And the truth is, he gave me this information that what she had been doing at the weekend, and she was doing amazing things. So why? There you go. She was doing some amazing thing at the weekend, and that's exactly what he was talking about. About her. And why do I? Then I ask myself, why do I need to be worried about her doing some amazing stuff at the weekend? Now, my brain, to understand that, you need to understand how my brain actually perceived that data. Now, her having a nice time at your home, me having, being there, I don't have any other, lovers, or I didn't have any other girlfriend. So that means I'm alone. She's not. She's enjoying her her holidays, but I'm not enjoying. Because now I knew that she was enjoying, but now I'm in pain because I don't have anymore her. She's not with me, so this put me in pain because now the information he gave me actually triggered a painful experience in my brain, which actually happened years ago when I was a child. As I was a child, I was abandoned, I was ridiculed, I was left alone. When I wanted to laugh, literally, what happened in my childhood was a very rough childhood. So I wanted to be loved. I wanted to, to be with my parents, but I could not live with my parents for many years. So years later, when I started living with my parents, I could not really have this, strong relationship with them. So, when I really wanted in my childhood, when I really wanted to have this love, this affection, this, love thing, or this whatever that is, the physical touch or physical connection with them, I didn't get it. So now I was, the information which is that she's not being with me was triggered my same emotional state, which was, and I was abandoned. So those two scenarios are now connected each other because they have something in common. I was left alone, right? She's having a nice time. Now, now I didn't want to think about it because that's past, and I have a nice time right now. I have a good friends. I have some good friends, so I don't want to just relate that experience to that. I don't have to do that. My brain does, because my brain doesn't know the big difference between my past and present. Because it just it all it does is that it processes informations. So you have an information here, which is you're not with your your girlfriend is having a nice time, but you're not. He knows that information, you don't know, which means you're left alone, you're lonely, you're broken, she doesn't need you, and nobody needs you. This was the information, this was how I was interpreting, and this new interpretation was actually driven, or was actually it came from my childhood and how I felt and the kind of environment that I was back then. So the problem was, most of us have this program, which actually put us in a very difficult problem. So if we do not know how to process information, if we do not know how to analyze information, and if we do not know how to process information and use the information to create the better future, a better healthy mind, a better mental state, a better physical state. If you don't know how to do that, the problem is we will be triggered by unhealthy information all the times, or by information all the times, and our brain will misinterpret the whole information and put us in a very difficult position, and pull us toward things, or toward to behave, help to drive us to behave in certain ways that we don't really need to behave, or to put us in a very miserable situation. So what do we do? This is your automatic system. This is just the map. Now, the information, that is the stimuli that we get. The information we get is the stimuli. Information, once we get, is processed by your automatic system. And if the similar, information, which is, for example, the information that I got, she's having a nice time, I don't have a nice time, she's having an amazing time, which is associated with the past experience, which was, I was being abandoned, being left alone, being lonely. Now that, similar experiences are connected to each other now, which put me in a very miserable state. Now, I'm having a cigarette, I'm trying to escape from that emotion, right? So just think about this. Just one piece of information completely changed me. It changed how I behaved that day. It changed how I saw the whole day. And put me in a very uncomfortable situation. Now, this is not the end of the story, because my whole life for years, I've been driven by these kinds of informations: fear, confusion, disbelief, unhealthy habits. And the thing is, you don't have to run away from all those things. You don't have to run away from your experiences. You don't have to, be in a survival mode. You can literally live your life. You can leave behind the past and you can live your life. And this is how you do. This is how you do conscious information analysis. Probably, I and my team are working on creating a device which actually helps us to consciously analyze every information, and which helps us to, to get away from, or to identify the real information, and to help us to be in a good state. So here, stimuli. This is the stimuli and the conscious analysis of the information. So what we do is, literally, when we get information, just imagine when you're having a conversation, the same conversation with your spouse, which actually leads you to an argument. Instead of being driven by the triggers, by the stimuli, or by the information, or by the emotion, or the unbalanced anger, what you do is you literally try to understand the situation. For example, in this case, you put your leg on her place. You try to see from her point of view. You try to see not only the problem that she's trying to say, but you're trying to see the other problems that are affecting her to behave or to be in that position. It's maybe because her work life is sucking. So you need to support her, right? Because she's a human being. All she needs is that your love, your passion, your presence, your support. And if you can provide, she'll be less uncomfortable, and less uncomfortable. Less uncomfortable means having the nice time to really to interact with that person. So that's conscious analysis, or conscious information. So I mean conscious analysis of information, CIA. Literally, oh my god. So conscious information analysis. So when you consciously analyze the information, you see what's going on, and you literally see what the information is about, and you try to fulfill that need based on the understanding of the information, and you create a response. That's the that's the fulfillment of the need. So if we can do this, if we can just use conscious information analysis, and if we can practice this, in our daily lives, the thing is, you can literally avoid lots of arguments. You can literally influence lots of people, because that's how you influence, by understanding that need, by fulfilling the needs of other people. And when you understand the other person and fulfill their needs, they trust you. And out of that trust comes this strong bond, a strong relationship. And after that relationship comes cooperation, working together, teamwork, and with that teamwork we can achieve anything. So here is what you are seeing is this is how for example, some of us do not know how to use a CIA to to read the information, and this is how you do. For example, just imagine you are getting some information. It may be you are on the stage for the first time for a long time, and you really are afraid of the stage, afraid of the people. So you just stand there, and what you can do is you can literally use the information analysis, conscious information analysis, and start processing the data, and then you can get rid of the fear. Now this is not easy, because everything comes with practice. Everything comes with being familiar with that situation. So you might have to go through several times, practice it several times before you literally overcome all the fear and be the best version of yourself. But I will be there. I'll be teaching you, helping you to literally help you to rediscover who you are, and then to be the best version of yourself. So you're not alone. So this is when you receive a stimuli, which means when you receive an information, you can use the information analysis at CS Center. You can use these points or these ways, these methods to understand the information. Number one, read the environment. So how do we read the environment? You can read, for example, you can understand, try to look around. What's the situation? Are you in your office, in your workspace? Where are you exactly? Where you are having this problem. So what is it? So for example, maybe you are on a stage and you are having, you want to talk to your, your customers, or you want to talk to your audience. You want to say something. You have a message. You want to say something to them. That's the environment. Okay. So are they afraid of you? No. Are they here to condemn you? No. Are they here to criticize you? No. Are they here to do something with you? No. Why are they here? They're here to listen to you. Why? Because you have something to say. So is there any problem? Is there do you really need to be afraid of the situation? No. So that's the information, that's reading the environment. Okay. So what we are doing is we are disassociating the familiarity of this event with the past event. For example, for example, every time when I saw the stage, what I did was I would associate a stage with my past life experience, which means, so what I needed to do now, right now, what I need to do is I need to disassociate this environment with the old one. So I would do that. So I would disassociate it, because every event in life, every event that's happening right now is a new event. It has never been happened before. This is a new event. Although you are the same person, maybe the audience may be the same, but this is a new event, right? Because how they are going to talk to you and how you're going to talk to you completely, it's not already predestined. It depends upon how you talk to them and how they listen to you. So how they listen to you is up to you right now, because you have the message. You are the messenger. You are the person who takes them through different stages of of the messages. So you have the power. So analyze the situation, disassociate the event with any other past events, and then literally when you are talking, for example, when you are having this fearful situation on the stage. Okay, so you can also do this when you're having an argument with your spouse, or associate yourself with the past events. So that in case that puts you in a new environment. So okay, this is a new environment, and how do I need to talk to her? How do I need to deal with this environment? So that puts you in to see the whole this picture in a new environment. So which is actually necessary to understand the information well. And next one is reading verbal, non-verbal cues, emotion, and physical changes. Just try to understand the person. Is he afraid? Is he in pain? Is he in the mental, is he having any mental breakdown? So understand this. Now, we can literally do this. You don't have to spend your whole time or whole day or whole hour trying to understand that person. You can just, at a one time, at a look, you can see, he's having, he's sweating and he's having a very bad time and he's, breathing heavily. That means he's not in balance. Though when he's not in balance, he's not in balance. The problem is he is not likely to behave in a normal way. So it's normal. So his anger, his despair or his hopelessness is normal. So this is what we need to understand. Okay, that's normal. So what do I need to do now? So now next point is only for people who are trying to get rid of any habits. For example, some people want to get rid of smoking, some people want to get rid of fear. So what they can do is, in order to understand the situation clearly, they can just note down some their how they the behavior and the time when they repeat, the time and the event, the place, everything related to that behavior or that kind of that event. Just note it down so you can understand exactly where it happens or how it happens or why it happens. Now you can also ask questions. For example, you're having this you can ask questions to yourself or to others. For example, you're having an argument with your spouse. To understand this information, you can just ask, okay, what else do we need to know? For example, there might be lots of things that you don't know. So don't create a story right now. Your brain is always, the immediate thing that your brain does when you see something is it creates a pattern. It creates a story. Because that's how to understand things. When it creates something, when it creates a pattern, a story, now you can understand. You don't need to be afraid. Oh my God, that's it, right? That's it. Yeah, I've heard that. So that's what it does. It just try to understand. So what and how is how you just try to understand the situation. So you ask the person, what is it that I need to understand here? Or what's the problem? So can you say something? Or how does that affect you? How does that feel? So you can further ask questions to understand. Or you can ask yourself, for example, what exactly I feel. I failed and I feel despair. I think that I need to, I don't need to live anymore. I have to live here. So you're having this panic attack. And when you're panic attacking, what you need to do is you have to ask yourself, okay, what is it that I feel? Now, I also say that when you ask what, you are, it's better to avoid why. Because the why question, why you? Why me? Why this? These questions are more subjective. So people who listen to why often take them as subjective experience. Like, he's really criticizing me. He thinks that I am the person. So try to avoid why and use what and how. So when you ask what and how, so probably it will help you to better understand the situation, information. And then the best thing is getting feedback from others. For example, you're having your wife is having a mental breakdown, so you can ask your wife's friend, what's going on. So when you do that, you are literally getting information from others. You want to have get rid of a particular habit. So you can literally ask someone else. So when you are asking someone else, you are also taking the information from others. So you are putting these pieces of information together, creating a bigger picture and trying to understand what exactly is going on here. And that's how you use this conscious information analysis. And the next one is choose a healthy response based on analysis. So the next thing is that you can do, once you understand the information, once you know exactly what that person needs or what the situation needs or what it requires you to do, once you know the situation, what exactly the information is, you can choose your response. So you can choose a healthy response based on the analysis and you can talk to the person. And that's exactly what you need to do. This is conscious information analysis. One of the best things that you can do to change your life, So here, I'm going to quickly describe to you how you can use conscious information analysis to have effective communication. So how do we do this? Most of us, when it comes to information, when it comes to communication, it's all about me want to do something with you, and I want to share some information, and you want to get something from me, of course, right now. So because that's how you live. We cooperate, we connect with each other, we share information, we share resources, we help one another. So when we have a communication with other people, so they expect something from us. They expect something, something that's not really harmful. They expect something that's not really, something that's not really putting them into in a very uncomfortable situation. So, to if you know exactly how to communicate your need, and probably they can help you out with that. So most of us, when we have a communication, when we talk to people, we don't really put that need in front of the people. Therefore people find it harder to understand your need. This is also the problem is sometimes when we communicate with the people, we miss we put our emotion first, and we put the need last. So that's one of the reasons why people have a very bad time having a communication with the people. So how do we get rid of this bad way of communication, and how do we effectively communicate with the people to really put that need first, and then to fulfill that needs, right? So what you can do is you can use this method. You can number one, everything start with understanding the situation, understanding the information. So just imagine you're having this conversation with your friend, and he is asking something from you. Okay, so the first thing is you need to understand the information. So he's talking to you, and you're listening to him, and he's saying something. So the first thing is to have this effective communication to understand him. So if you can really understand him, you can help him. If you don't understand him, you can never help him. So when I was okay, so let's do that. How do we do that? Number one, ask and listen. Okay, so I have just so usually this we start with ask and listen, and then read emotions, and and the third one is study body language. Okay, so you start with first you ask and listen, and probably the first thing that you need to do is to listen, because every information starts with understanding. So understanding comes from a deep listening skills. So if you have a deep listening skills, you will probably understand the exact information. So have the skills to listen to people, have the patience to listen to people, instead of just they say that so sometimes the problem is we don't have enough time to listen to people, and that put us in a very different positions. So I would encourage you to have the patience, to develop the patience to listen to people. Listen. Most of us want to communicate to each other, not because that we want something from them, but because that we want somebody to listen to us. We want to be heard. And so listen to people. When you listen to people, really listen to people, you will remove half of the problem. And then if you don't understand, ask them, what is this about? How do I need to help you? Ask questions. Gently ask questions, because you never want to put any people in a very discomfortable positions. And when you put in discomfortable positions, you put them in a very unbalanced state where they cannot convey the real need. So put them in a position, and then ask them and try to understand their emotions. Okay, how do they feel when they talk this, when they say this? How do they feel? Do they feel happy? Do they feel angry? Do they feel frustrated? Do they feel confused? How do they feel? What is the full, and what does that feeling, what does that emotion tell me about? Okay, so once you understand the emotion, then look at the body language. So I think reading the emotions and studying the body language is just it doesn't require much time. So because when you are asking and listening, you are also reading their emotions and understanding their body language. And if this is how you literally understand the communications of others, you ask, you listen, you read emotions, you study the body language. And once you do that, you have an understanding of this is what this person is saying. He's afraid, he's desperate, and he doesn't want to be guaranteed that he will be here, he will be safe, right? So what you need to not only that's just giving some word, it may not be enough. So he sometimes he needs an assurance. Sometimes he needs more than that. What exactly do I need to give him to make him safe, and to make him feel safe, to make him comfortable, to make him to have that confidence again? And based on that understanding, you give that response and you do it immediately, and there goes, you create a connection with that person, and that person has a trust on you, and you create a trust. And when you create a trust, you create a cooperation between yourself, and that's a teamwork. And when you have a teamwork, you can work on the project that you have, you can work on the relationship, you can work on the problem that you have, and you can work together. When you work together, you have two different talents, you two different brains working together, and that actually helps you to uncover the problem, or to deal with the problem that you're facing. And this is how you do that. So you understand the problem. Just imagine, understand the problem, but now you need to respond, right? So sometimes it's difficult to understand how you respond. So how do we respond? So I call this, I call this the pillars of communication. So you can use this pillars of communication: empathy, compassion, vulnerability, courage. And these are 4 amazing pillars which can really help you to have an impact on your audience, on your talk, on your discussions, on your communication. Empathy, what does that mean? It means just try to understand, and that is exactly what it says. Ask and listen. That is exactly, because when you listen, you have empathy. You try to understand from that person's point of view. So empathize with the people. Try to understand him. When you respond, always respond empathetically. Empathetically. Because, if you were to empathetically respond and sympathetically respond, just if you were to empathetically respond to a person, that person is more likely to come to you again, because you have a connection. And what happens is, we usually watch films, and when we watch films, we are moved by the actors or certain acts or certain behaviors, right? It's because that we have these mirror neurons. Mirror neurons helps us to duplicate certain behaviors, certain emotions, certain feelings of other people's. So that's why we have these mirror neurons, and there are still lots of research going on with the mirror neurons. And empathy is an emotion that literally this emotion that can help us to understand the other person's emotion through the help of these mirror neurons. And when you use empathize with other people, when you see, okay, that person is going through a difficult situation, when you put your shoulder away, okay, it's okay, I can understand, that person feels there's support from you. That mental support really take him to a complete to put him in a more confidential, more more confident positions. So empathize. And second one is compassion. Compassion is, okay, you empathize, you understand the problem, and now you go and help that person out. That's one. Now, what kind of help? Sometimes we cannot help everyone with a financial by giving enough financial security. So, but you can still give them your physical support, your physical presence. You can give them a word. You can give, you can be there for them. You can send a couple of people there. So you can do this in all kinds of things, and based on how you compassionate with based on your compassion toward that person. So when you're compassionate, you're ready to help that person. You're ready to do something for that person. So be compassionate. Understand the person, and now go and help that person out. That's the best thing that you can do. And when you do that, you're building a teamwork. Next, vulnerability. What is vulnerability? Vulnerability is just okay. So he vulnerability is a state of being open to your own weaknesses. Now, when I say here weaknesses, I don't mean the weaknesses like, for example, here the weaknesses means maybe it's getting some anger, it's getting some getting sad, or being in a sad position. So that's what I mean here. So there might be some misunderstanding when you listen to this weakness. It doesn't mean, it doesn't have anything to do with the for example other weakness. For example, you don't so that's I think that's a very difficult word. I should have removed that word from their weakness. Anyway, so vulnerability is this being whoever you are. It's it's understanding that you're not perfect. It's seeing that you have holes, that you have lots of you are vulnerable to lots of problems. It's seeing that you are emotionally vulnerable. It's that vulnerability. And one thing that you can do is to have that this powerful communication is to being vulnerable. And then second is to accepting vulnerability. Of course, it's sometimes people get angry, sometimes people get sad, sometimes people get frustrated, sometimes confused. It's we are human beings, and we deserve to be that kind of to be in that kind of mental states, because they are some of the mental states that we use to cope up with the situations, right? So those are really some of our vulnerabilities. Sometimes we feel weak, we feel tired, we feel emotionally vulnerable. So accept the vulnerability of our own, and then accept others. It's okay. Sometimes people think that it's not really okay to cry in front of people, but sometimes it's okay to cry, because who said that you will lose something when you cry in front of people? You don't. In fact, you don't, because in fact, crying or feeling sad it's an emotional feeling, because that in turn helps us to connect with the people. So feeling sad is not really bad. So if you feel bad, okay, feel bad. If you feel sad, feel sad. If you feel happy, feel sad. Express that. It's that vulnerability. So accept the other people's vulnerability and accept yours. And if you need to empathize with that person, no matter, maybe you are a president of the United States, or maybe you are you are a marine, you are a seal, you are, maybe you're a politician. So but it's necessary to have you out of, above all, you are a human being, right? You are a human being, and that's a complete different story. So since you're human beings, you have these feelings, so experience them, or accept them, and then have the courage to show your vulnerability, to show you that you are angry, to show that you are sad, to show that you need love, to tell that that I love her. Have the courage to go out and help that person out of that misery. Have the courage. So have empathy, compassion, vulnerability, and courage. When you have these four pillars, you create the best response. So now when you respond to your wife, you empathetically, compassionately, showing your vulnerability and accepting her vulnerability, courageously you walk toward her and say or respond in whatever the way that you say. And that's to me, that's amazing. That will in turn help you to not only be you, but to be authentic. After all, that's relationship is meant to be authentic, to be what it is, to be in love. So use empathy, compassion, vulnerability, and courage to change your to create the best relationship that you want. And next is EIA for achieving ambitious goals. And this is something really amazing. Achieving ambitious goals. We all have ambitious goals. So how do we do that? So sometimes our past life, or sometimes our past emotional responses, they are pulling us toward the kind of life that we have been leading. So pulling us backward, taking us from where we are to where we were yesterday. So that's really danger, right? So if you want to see progress, you need to see growth. And if there isn't a growth, you're staying where you are. And that staying where you are means you're just using the same information. You're not learning. You're not acquiring new information. You're not acquiring new skills. And so that you're not moving toward that goal. So moving toward goal means you're just literally seeing this growth. So what are the growth that do I see? So just ask yourself, first, number one, ask yourself, do you have any growth in your personal life, in your social life, in your career life? Do you have any growth in that personal relationship with your spouse? Do you have any growth? If you don't see any growth, you need to move toward growth. And sometimes we don't have any growth because we don't have any goals. Because if you want to have growth, you need to move toward any particular direction. And that's how you see growth, because that movement toward a particular direction. What is the direction? That's the goal. So number one question is, have a goal before you do this. Have a goal. What's the goal? What's the driving goal that actually puts you to move toward that that mountain? What is it? So my goal is to help people, not simple, not one person, but to 50 million people. So that's a big goal. So that big goal actually requires me to practice every day, to wake up early in the morning, to do all the kind of routine work that I hated to do, to learn something, to practice and to update my information, to update my skills. It requires me to do all kinds of things. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes I get, I just fall behind and I just get up and I move ahead. But I have a goal, right? So my question is, what is your goal? So if you have a goal, the next thing is, how do you get there? So this is it. Number one, have just have a well-defined goal. Now I call this primary questions and the secondary questions. So the primary question is the need, which is your goal, which is exactly what you need to do, where you need to get. So have a primary goal. So that's, for example, maybe this year you want to become a TED speaker. So that's your goal. Maybe otherwise you have to invent the things. So you need to invent something new, something, something particular. So you want to invent that. That's your goal. So that's the better you define your primary question, which is your need, the better you choose your options. So some people, they have goal, but they don't have a clarity on their goal. They have goals, but they don't know exactly what they need to do. So, when I was studying in 10th class, that's when I started to wash buses. So when I was washing the buses, the thing that I had in me was that what I wanted to do was I wanted to be somebody who is influential, somebody who can stand on his own feet. But I didn't have any clear picture, where exactly I was going. So what happened was, meantime, since I didn't have any clear goal, I walked there and walked here and walked there and walked here, and I had all these amazing different experiences. Now, I didn't have to have all those experiences, because the thing that I actually happened to go to different directions is because that I didn't have any clear direction where exactly I wanted to take my life, or where exactly do I need to go. And the problem is, if you don't have such a directions, you keep wandering. And of course, if you're a great learner, you learn from everywhere, and you can, easily, once you process that learning, you can easily set a goal. So actually, my wandering, through that, that aimless wandering, it indeed helped me to gain lots of knowledge about me. It also put me in a miserable life. I lost lots of years, lots of days, lots of months, lots of, hours, and. Which put me in a very difficult situations. Of course, if you lose a lot, I lost lots of years. For me, I lost lots of years. So I don't want you to lose your years. What you can do to not to lose your time is to have a clear picture. Exactly what is it that you want, your organization needs, your community needs, exactly where your community needs to go. What exactly you need to do. So once you have this a clear picture, clear vision for the future, clear, a definition of the future, definition of the goal that you want to achieve, then you can ask the secondary question, which is how. So ask this how question. How do I get there? So when you start asking how, you may not get answer, but keep asking, keep pondering, keep learning, keep reading. So the more you understand your primary question, for example, understanding or defining this primary question might require you to learn about this. About the kind of goal that you have. Maybe perhaps you want to, climb the Everest mountain. So the best thing that you to understand. So that's a very clear need, but it's not clearer. So in order to make it clearer, you set a goal, and okay, this is by 2026 I will reach there. That's okay. That's much clearer. So what date? Okay. So still, that goal is okay. It's clear. You know exactly what you want to do, but you haven't, exactly studied the goal. So study the goal, which actually helps you to find out the how, secondary question, how, the options. So study the goal, find out who went there, and when, how did they reach there. Study about the people who lost their lives. Study about the perils that are awaiting out there. So the better you study the situation, study the question, study the need, the better you can answer the secondary question, which is how. So when you answer the how question, when you exactly have a clear how answer, take the first 5 options, the best options, and move with it. Take the first option, walk through it, just go with it. If it is not working out, take the second option. If it is not working out, take the third one. And if it is still not working out, take 4. And if it is still working out. By third time, if it is not working out, I would say that you need to try to see that primary question is what you're seeking, and what you have in your mind, your goal, are the same. I need to, you ask yourself this. Sometimes people miss direct their energy, their effort, their time toward a misaligned goal, a goal that is not in alignment with their hearts. So sometimes, so ask yourself, is it something that you really want to do, or is it something that I really need to do? And then check the options, right? If it is something really, so try doing it again, because sometimes you require much practice to achieve that. So it's because of lack of practice. So study it and do it again. And if you think there is a misalignment, find out what exactly you need, or if you have missed something, and then fix it and go forward. That's the first stage. And once you finish the first stage, the second stage is CIA for decision making. So how do we do this? So so once we reach the second stage, for example, we are going forward, and at some point of time we are depleted with information, because the closer we reach toward that goal, the problem is the lesser the information becomes. The reason is because, of course, only your goal is unique, and there aren't many people who have done it. Only very few people. So that actually put you in a very discomfortable position, because now it is a time to make information, to understand to gain information sometimes. So information is depleted. You don't know what to do. You don't know how. You don't have the skills. So if you don't have the skills, gain the skills, acquire the skills, study it. So how do we do this? Reframe the primary question. What else do I need to do to reach that destination? What else do I need to do? So that's it. So second stage, you reframe the question. So to get my destination, which is to climb the mountain, to climb the Himalaya, what else do I need to do? What else do I need to have? What else do I need to buy? What else do I need to require? What requires me to buy, or any resources I need. So, and then based on that understanding of the need, and then ask the secondary question, which is what are the options to get that. Okay, and of course always keep this in mind. The better you can define your primary question, the better you choose your options. So the better. So if you can really define it very well, if you can really understand the question and really define it, of course, the how part becomes much more easier. That's a stage. That's a second stage. And once you finish that stage, say in some so sometimes in some occasions you might have to repeat the second stage several times, and once you finish the second stage, what happens is you reach the third stage where you don't have any information. Now this is sure for many communities, many organizations where they are pioneer at their goals. Some organizations do have some pioneer goals toward achieving something that we have never invented before, that we have never innovated before. So if you are pioneering some inventions, pioneering some sort of technology, what the thing is, you sometimes at some point of life you run out of informations, which means now you need to it requires you, that goal requires you to create information that it has never been created before, that it has never been invented before, that it has never been known before. So how do we do that? So this to understand this, you need to understand how information forms. So how does the information forms? So how information forms from the existing informations, right? For example, it's same like anything else. For example, how. So as I said, what is information? Information and physical things almost the same thing. What is beneath of all this? Just if you go down deep dug into it, what do you see? What do you see in the matter? What do you see is these atoms, right? Atoms just moving up and down, or just moving there and here. So that's exactly what you see. So it's the thing is that. So just think about how the universe came to be what we see as it is today. How did it come to be that way? Because once there was the first atoms, and they split. They were split somehow, and they multiplied. They joined together. They multiplied. They joined together. They multiplied. They joined together. They multiplied, and that's how it came to be. So almost the information and the atoms, everything is the same. It's the same. It's the same. So it's the same coin. So it's difficult really say what exactly information without because to extrapolate that information from that physical thing is it's something it's really different, but we can do that. What do we do? How this information grows is information grows through by multiplying it and then combining combining again to create something new, and then it multiplies and create something new. And at some point of time, it becomes so complex that now it has different shapes and different sizes of different kinds of informations, right? So now you can combine this random information together to create something new. So that's how you do. That's how we become creative, right? So the best thing that you can do now. We can never say that you will get exact creative things, or you will get the exact thing that if you do it is 10 times or 20 times. We can never say because this is most of the things that we have invented, creative thing that we have invented, it could just come out of come out of nowhere. And I don't think that we have any specific formula, but the only formula and the only one of the best way to do that is to do this, right? So add existing information and to information and combine together to create something new, right? For example, how do we do that? For example, how do we carbohydrate? How do we make a carbohydrate? It's simple. Carbon and hydrogen, you just join together and we get carbohydrate, right? So in that way, when you combine information, you make something new, and you make something new, some new type of things, right? And that's how we make things. How we make, for example, for the first time, when we made this book, how did we make? We took different elements from the nature and we just combined it and we created it. So that's exactly how we do. So take the existing informations that you think are necessary to create something new and just combine it together and make it, and repeat the process till you reach the destination. And if you can reach, just multiply the the second and third stage whenever that you need. I think that you will be able to reach there. Now the third stage, it's one of the it's a probability stage, which is that we don't exactly know how to do that, but we also know that if we do this, we somehow will get definitely a new informations, or new inventions or new innovations, and that's how we do, and that we have done so far. And but the time and efforts, no idea. We don't have any idea about that, but this is how we grow. This is a path. So, when you become conscious, now just I would love to share my views on conscious information analysis. So we have looked at several of the points. Number one, how to have a effective communication using CIA, and how to change our behavior using CIA, and how to achieve our goals using CIA. And what I want to share with you, or what I want to tell you is this: when you become conscious and analyze the information based on the need, instead of being driven by the automatic system, instead of being driven by some triggers that happen in your past life, or that your brain registered from your past similar experiences, what happens is you will be able to create a response that's healthy and effective, that's based on the need. So my intention is to help people to, especially the next generation, the children, to learn this conscious information analysis in the daily life, so that they can change the relationship. They can change the relationship with their spouse, their friends, and their co-workers using this conscious information analysis. I hope that you can use this method to change your personal life, to improve your personal life. So have a great day. Thank you.